Hi, I'm Jacqueline Chow and welcome to Meet the Boss TV. Today, I'm at Putrajaya, Kuala Lumpur, speaking to one of Asia's most influential leaders, Tun Dr. Mahathir, to find out what lessons politics has for business.
I always question the conventional ways of doing things.
Tun Dr. Mahathir is Malaysia's longest-serving Prime Minister. During his 22-year tenure, he spearheaded the phenomenal growth of the Malaysian economy, which expanded at an annual average rate of 6.1%. Tun Dr. Mahathir once said, "To be a great leader, one needs to have good strategies, be knowledgeable, and able to predict the future." So I asked him, what lessons he can share with business leaders about setting a vision.
First of all, of course, you must think about things which are achievable. It may be a little bit extraordinary, but they must be achievable.
You once said, to be a great leader, one needs to have good strategies, be knowledgeable, and able to predict the future. Now, are these three qualities you think also necessary to be a great business leader?
Yeah, certainly they are. When you plan something in the future, you need to have some conviction. At the same time, of course, you must be prepared to take risks.
How do you convince your team as well, though, that it's okay to actually, take that little risk?
Well, you have to have trust in people. I think you're changing people every now and again because you are not satisfied with them is not really the way to manage people. You have to get the people working for you to understand what you have in mind and to tell them how to carry out things. That's better than changing people, because when you change people, you are up against having to accommodate idiosyncrasies of somebody else that you are not familiar with, and that creates a problem. My team has stayed with me. Some of the people who work with me have stayed with me for over 30 years. They have not.
Years?
Yes, they are still with me even today.
Wow. So how do you keep them with you for 30 years?
Well, it's a matter of how you conduct your relationship with them. I mean, you mustn't be too bossy, but you must establish a good relationship so that they look upon you not just as a boss, but someone they can relate to.
So describe what kind of relationship do you have with your team members?
Well, I treat them like my friends. And no matter what rank they are, they may be just a security officer, for example. But I treat them as my friends. I talk with them. I discuss things with them. I'm not aloof with regard to my staff anyway.
Tun Dr. Mahathir championed projects like the Petronas Towers, the Multimedia Super Corridor, and Proton Cars. Were these projects successful in putting Malaysia on the global map?
Well, I used to say that when you are short, to be noticed, you stand on a soapbox. So for me, the Petronas Twin Towers is my soapbox, so to speak, because then I can be tall and be seen. So you have to do something that is out of the ordinary so that people will notice you. When I started as Prime Minister, Malaysia was quite unknown. People keep on asking, where is that? So in order to be noticed, we have to do certain things that will strike people as something radical and unexpected, and because of that, they notice us.
A bit of a rebel at heart?
Well, it's great fun.
I'm glad you had some fun with it as well. So talk about some projects, lessons learning, for business leaders about projects that perhaps didn't do so well. For example, the Pawaja Steel didn't do so well. What lessons do you learn from it? And again, how can you relate that to business leadership?
When you're beginning something, you have to deal with people who have no experience. At that time, Malaysia had almost no one who has this experience of managing a steel mill. It's a very big project, and of course they bungled things up. They didn't know how to operate, they didn't know how to manage their staff, and they are not familiar with the technology, etc. And because of that, we failed. But to me, it is an investment in acquisition of skills and knowledge, experience. We tried changing staff, for example. We tried getting new technologies in. Eventually, we found someone who could manage, but by then the company had already incurred a lot of debts, and this is what will be mentioned all the time, that it is a failure because of these debts. But the fact remains that today it is a functioning industry. It's run by Malaysians, and they're making money out of it. If you disregard the losses incurred by the previous people who are running the industry.
What lesson do you learn from that?
Unless you have deep pockets, you shouldn't try to go into things that you really do not have enough knowledge about. But this is a government, and it is the government's policy to introduce industries, heavy industries. We know we took a risk. There have been failures among the projects, but there have also been successes.
You once said, "I've gone against the stream many, many times, and it just so happens that in most instances I've been proven correct." Now, you've shown just that when you stood your ground and rejected IMF's financial aid during the Asian crisis, which proved to be the absolutely right decision because Malaysia recovered remarkably well. Where does that inner belief come from?
I always question the conventional ways of doing things. I examine them, and certainly in the case of the financial crisis, when we were told that we should have a surplus budget, and we should have increase interest rates and do all kinds of things. Every time I examine all the advice, I find that they will have negative results. So we decided not to follow.
Give me some examples of when you question convention.
When we decided to have an automotive industry, we were told that no, this is not the thing for a developing country. I asked myself, those people who have an automotive industry, they must have started with something quite small. Now, why can't we start small the way they did and slowly grow up? They said no, unless you can have a big volume, this is not possible. But we tried, we cut corners, we reduced costs, and we became successful. We now produce almost 200,000 cars. And Proton is exporting to Thailand, for example, more than 5,000 cars. And that's a big export for a small company.
Have you always questioned convention since you were a child?
I've always been quite radical in my views about things. I don't accept what I'm told just like that. Even if people have been doing it all the time, it doesn't mean that it is correct. If you study history, you'll find that what is good at one time will change because it after some time people find out the defects. And the thing to do is, of course, to look for the defects in conventional ways of doing things and to devise new ways.
From a business point of view, do you think that is necessary for every great business leader?
Yes, it's necessary all the time. Whatever you're doing today may not be the right thing to do in the future. So you must think and see the defects in the systems that you are using. So even in business, I have a small business now. I run a bakery.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. And I find that it's very interesting, of course, but there are so many things to be attended to. And as you go along, you learn quite a lot of things.
Why a bakery business?
I noticed that the Japanese produce very good bread. Every time I go to Japan, I would buy the bread. So I thought I would bring that kind of bread making to Malaysia. And find, of course, trying to train locals is a problem. You train them, they acquire skills, and then they leave us. Some of them can be dishonest. So these are the little things that happens that you have to learn to manage.
So how did you manage that?
Well, sometimes by talking, sometimes by trying to inspire them, telling them that this business is also their business because they make money out of it, and try and get them to identify themselves with the business.
How's the process been so far for you?
Well, there have been ups and downs that you need very deep pockets if you want to go into any business. It's been 4 years now, and we still don't make profits yet, but we have to spend more money to expand, otherwise we will not make a profit.
So what is it like? You managed a whole country before, and now you're managing a bakery business.
There are a lot of similarities, but of course you attend more to the nitty-gritty than with a country. With a country, you have other people doing things for you. But here, you have to know in detail what is happening. You have to know where you're going. You have to set a target for yourself. And you have to know the environment. You have to have knowledge. And you have to learn the skills, the technology, or the way of doing things, or managing, etc. There are lots of knowledge input inside a business.
So which role do you prefer?
Both.
Both. All right, Tun Dr. Mahathir, it has been an absolute privilege to have you on the program. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.